the Apple Store.
Across the street from the house.
Not directly across the street, down across the street and several doors down.
The street number is 426 West 14th Street. So about three retail spots there on the left.
Yeah, but here's my question. Since the last time we knew he was looking at the exact same site.
We were at least, yes.
So you was looking at the exact same site.
Correct, yes.
So the last time we were complaining about the effect on the employees and the community, the union was there. Now, Mr. Ingram just indicated that y'all went and reviewed the site. Still, after you know we were there, the union was not, nobody from the community, anybody was invited to see, so we won't have to be trying to figure out what you're talking about.
Well,
Let me finish my statement.
Okay.
Let me finish my statement. So my thing is, anything to do with hours, wages, and work conditions, this is a change in work conditions. Why weren't we invited so we could know coming into this meeting exactly what you're talking about?
Okay, so let's talk about the timeline. You said that we visited the site.
You said
I'm just repeating what you said. So if I'm wrong, you correct me. You said that we visited the site after that initial meeting. But that's not when we visited the site. When we went to the 15th Street site, that was prior to that initial meeting. So, you know, I don't know, when you say we didn't invite you, we had already looked at that location. And then we hadn't settled on that 426
Whether
site.
you settled for it or not, you knew that the community and the union had concerns with the site. The same questions came up about where you were going to be able to put the trucks. Same questions came out about the bus lane. Everything that we're talking about now is the same issue. So why wouldn't you invite us to go and look exactly at what you're talking about instead of us trying to figure it out here in this public meeting?
Well, you're saying we didn't invite you to come look at the 426 site?
Yeah.
But you were given that site as a location, correct? At the last meeting. Did they mention that site?
No.
I didn't know.
Oh, okay. I
No.
wasn't at the last meeting, so
No.
but I'm
But it's
posing
the
a
same site.
question.
He couldn't reveal it.
I'm posing
He couldn't
it.
tell us. Right now, it wasn't far enough gone.
Okay,
But you
fine.
knew.
Okay.
The bottom line, you can't say you didn't know, because he said it never changed. The plan is still to go to the same place.
Okay.
So why wouldn't you involve us or the community that was, you knew who was concerned about what the issues? Why wouldn't you involve us? And the contract requires that you involve us because it's a change in work conditions and what the impact is going to be on the community and employees and where the handicap access is going to go into. So now when we're sitting in here with from a point of information, why wouldn't we be notified and why wouldn't we be informed?
Well, I don't know why they left you out of that, from that particular meeting to the time they settled on that location. I can't answer that question. I don't know why you weren't invited. But that's the reason why we're here now, to discuss it and see whatever other issues or concerns you have. Maybe I can go back to them and bring that up and say, all right, here's where we stand. Before we lock this in, we need to discuss these things.
Here's my concern. When he introduced you to address the concerns that he couldn't address last time, and that's why you were here.
Okay?
So that's how he introduced you. So if you're coming to address our concerns because you wasn't here, it's the same concerns. Nothing has changed. So you already knew that we should have had an ample opportunity to go over there to address the very same concerns that we talked about in the last meeting.
Okay. You talked about as a concern the bus lane.
No, we talked about as a concern what the location was going to be, the footprint, if it's going to be smaller, how many PO boxes are going to go from the old facility to the new facility. No one was here that can answer any of these questions because this is the building guy. So, I mean, we come in here again, absolutely not one sheet of paper to give us, no information to give us, absolutely nothing at all are you giving to the community. And like I said last time, this is a disrespect to call it a public hearing when you got absolutely no information. Nothing, not one. Anybody got a sheet of paper before I came in? No. Not one sheet of paper or anything. Now that you know what the site is, there's no excuse that you can't. This is the site, this is where it's going to be, this is where we're going to put it. All that should have been put down on the sheet, on some paper. It wouldn't have been that difficult to give it to the community if we truly want some input from the community and concerns about what you're doing. Because right now, all we're trying to do is figure out what you're talking about because we know, the only person that seems to know is you two.
I will say real quick now, the new project letter was posted in the lobby of the post office explaining that we're looking at going to the 426 West 14th Street location. The local government was notified. We revised the letter, explained exactly where we're going. But at that point, that's as much information as we can give out at this point.
Well, what about the email that I sent that it's not posted in the post office, when we're going to post it, and the district manager finally sent it back and finally got the notice posted? Was it even a week ago?
No,
wasn't even a week ago that you finally posted the notification, and I got the email from the district manager saying that the notice wasn't posted. So let's say the notice was posted because it wasn't.
And I followed up directly with them, and I made sure that they posted it, because there was obviously a communication issue posting it in the post office.
How hard could it be to post a sheet of paper?
Well,
Well, let's give this gentleman an opportunity to ask his question as well.
2017 that there was an issue now with maintaining that location. You've certainly known since January of 2019 that your lease was expiring at the end of May of this year. So you also probably knew in January that you were not going to be able to lease a piece of property in the Google building. Then for what reason is it going to take until September to have a new facility ready? It seems to me that you've had plenty of time to plan it, plenty of time to execute the necessary contracts to make this happen. And yet, here we are sitting, and as far as we know, nothing is moving forward yet on creating this new location on 14th Street. What's that all about?
well, it is in the process of being fully funded. This has to be funded by Headquarters Finance, and it's a large project, so therefore it requires a whole nother level of approval and justification by our management and obviously internal people within Washington DC to fully fund the project. So we're working on getting that done. Once the project's fully funded, then we can finalize and complete the design and then be prepared to move into that space and build it out. Unfortunately, it takes some time for that process to occur.
Yeah, but you've had time. You've had 2 years.
Correct. And we looked at other options.
And you're saying that in 2 years, the community basically hasn't known what was going on for 2 years. And we're down to the wire now, and now we're inconvenienced to the point where if we want to mail a small package, we can't use the street boxes anymore because they put in their anti-theft devices on it. So if you've got like a 9-ounce package, you can't drop it at the corner anymore. You have to walk up to 18th Street. So now for all of our postal services, we're going to have to walk all the way up to 18th Street, almost at 7th Avenue. That doesn't seem like being concerned about the community and being concerned about the public impact for the decisions that you're making. I chalk it up to not good management. Now, I don't know who's responsible for that bad management, but it's clearly bad management. This should have been planned out. You guys should be able to stand up here and give us an absolute plan with timelines and everything so that we know that should have happened in January. You should have been able to stand up there and say, look, this is the plan. We're going to be out of there May 31st. The new facility's going to be opened up at the end of June.
Right.
You don't have any of that.
Correct.
You're still...
That's the challenge with not being able, that's the challenge with, having to deal with some of the timelines to get it funded, and then we can fully greenlight this project.
Then who's responsible for this failure of management? Who do we complain to? And how high up do we go to complain about the failure of management to deal with this situation for our community?
I'd write your local representative. That's the best way to go. Yes, sir.
I find myself trying to figure out why is it that you say you can't have a 7-ton truck there? Because I've seen a 7-ton truck many occasions parked on the corner of 16th and 9th facing east. There seem to be no traffic jams at that point, so I don't realize why 15th Street would be a problem. It has the same width. Plus, you're talking about a retail only? I just went by one of those businesses in Chelsea Mart, and one of them had 30 priority boxes about this size lined up outside its stand right there. How are you going to deal with that kind of business being lost? I mean, does that make any kind of sense to you? I mean, if the post office is so intent on saving money and cutting corners, why don't you go back to the people who passed the Postal Accountability Enhancement Act and ask for that money back that we've been paying into for the last 5 to 10 years? You're sabotaging the service as it is. I mean, how are you going to explain that business person that's right there in Chelsea Mart with 30 priority boxes, I assume was delivered by a 7-ton truck, or we're going to be picked up by one? How are they going to deal with us retail-only services?
Well, I'm
That you want to do.
not quite sure what the bottom line, baseline aspect of your question is. When you said there were 30 priority boxes on the sidewalk?
No, it was inside the business, but obviously it was delivered there, or not about to be taken somewhere else, obviously to the 16th Street facility, if that's where it's going. But they looked like they had been delivered there. I looked at the boxes.
I'm a station manager. 9 times out of 10, when that situation happens, that's a pickup. So that means one of my carriers is going out there to that facility to pick up those packages and bring it to Old Chelsea Station. Those type of packages wouldn't necessarily go to the finance station. So what you're seeing right there is a pickup done by my
It's
station.
not necessary, but perhaps he was thinking of going there and mailing those boxes.
No, usually when it's that size of volume, that's a pickup. That's a service that the post office offers the community so that
But it's
you
not
have that.
definite, right? It's not a definite. You're just
I'm
a
I personally,
Sure, but it's not definite.
I don't know what business you went to per se, because you didn't mention that. But we have a few pickups within the Chelsea
They
market.
serve food, drinks,
Yes,
things like
but there's
that.
a couple companies that actually have things they ship out. So we do pickups within that facility. So 9 times out of 10, when you see that, that's because a pickup's going to be done.
Well, I understand,
Pick up
sure,
back-
but it's not a given that that's what they were actually
Well,
doing.
I don't know what company
It seemed to me
was.
like they were actually going to be,
Usually that doesn't go to a window service. That's a pickup option.
Most of those
usually.
companies bring it across the street to 16th Street, because I use that facility all day long, and you have tellers, you have customer service people right
But
here
he said 30
from the
packages, so it's a
station.
little different.
Big packages,
but they're small enough to go
Google,
into the windows.
Major League Baseball, everybody in the Google building, in the market, comes right across the street. They don't get truck pickups.
Excuse me.
All day long, they're walking across the street bringing packages
Sorry,
down.
give me 1 second. What is your name?
Stacey
I
Allen.
don't know if you introduced yourself.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm a station manager of Old Chelsea Station. My name is Stacey
Stacey.
Oliver.
Any other question?
Yes. My name is Earlene. I'm the retail associate at Port Authority Station. The boxes he's speaking of, they're flat rate boxes. They're flat rate, they're $14 boxes, and they walk them across the street. They have 2 employees
All day
that
long.
bring 30 boxes or more every day across the street. They're not the only business. We got another business. T-Mobile, they mail 100, I scan them every day. They mail 130 flat rate boxes. They walk them over in a skid. They walk them over and they mail them from Port Authority stations. It's more than 3-4 businesses across the street in Chelsea Market. They walk them over. They don't take them over to Chelsea. They have employees that walk these things over to Port Authority Station. I know this because I scan them when they come in.
Okay, so let me respond to that. And this is what I would say as an operational manager within the post office. If we ever see a customer walking 30 packages to our door, we should be saying to them, you know we do a free pickup. We would definitely want to take that off of their hands, and because we're the ones who are responsible for shipping, we should be going to them to make any pickups. Anybody who's bringing over that much volume, we should be going to do a pickup, because we'll do a pickup for 1 package.
You're right.
And that's for every customer, everybody that's here. I know you mentioned dropping off a package. If you are mailing a package, you can go online and request a pickup. We will pick up 1 package.
Right, but they said that. They said they call to request pickups and they never pick up. Chelsea never picks up the phone so they can get their pickup. This is what they say, and they walk them over.
But
For
let me
years-
respond to
for
that.
years this has been going on.
Again, you know, I don't, there's certain aspects, like I don't want it to become, all right, this is management, this is the employees and the stations. I don't want to make it seem as if I'm casting any stones, but as employees, when we're in our facility, when somebody says that they called for a pickup, then we should be educating them on the fact that they should be doing it online. Because that's the way you get it free. If you call, you have to pay.
We do that. I work for the post office, so I'm not
No,
going to
but that's what
badger
I'm saying.
Chelsea.
If a customer calls the post office and says, I need a pickup, then there's a charge associated with that.
Right.
We should be guiding them towards using an online service, which is free, and as long as you do it the day before, we will come the next day and pick up your package for free. So we should not be saying we should not expect the customers to be relying on that phone call when our services is only going to charge them. So we need full disclosure.
I'm sure those customers notice. They're just not getting the service. So the point being is all those packages that you're talking about that's a pickup is not a pickup. Point being, they walk them across the street to Port Authority.
Right, I got that.
And these
What
are
I'm saying-
different companies. This is not just one
Right.
company.
What I'm saying is, whenever you have customers that are mailing that much volume, we as the post office can offer them much more services than having them bring those boxes to us.
That's not the point she's making.
Right.
I understand.
Exactly.
No,
I got that.
Wait, let me finish.
She's addressing what Mr. Oliver said, bringing attention to the statement he made as being untrue. That is what she's addressing. She's
That's
not
it.
here
Exactly.
challenging
Chelsea or the-
Because what you're
right.
addressing is, you're trying to promote another service which the Postal Service offers. She's responding to what he said strictly.
I got that.
That is
So-
all she's
Right, so
responding
now the concern was that the customer is walking all of these parcels to our retail location and how we would be impacting them by moving around the corner. And I guess ultimately that's what we're trying to resolve, right?
Some
The-
customers want to walk them over because they want to make something that is in the Postal Service,
Exactly.
in somebody's hand, that they are comfortable with seeing a live person who picked their got their package, scanned their package, and this is somebody who she said anywhere but about 3 companies, she said that's in that facility, that business over there, that walk their packages over. I'm certain that just with the human contact is what makes people feel secure with their packages, because they know her.
100%.
They know
Right.
her, and they know the employees in there. So the service you're offering, I get that service, but people like the human side of coming to the Postal Service, dealing with a trusted employee at the window.
And I don't disagree with you, I
And
agree
that's
with you.
the inconvenience part
Right.
we're talking about, now moving the location.
And I understand that, but the one thing I will say is that we didn't make this decision in a bubble and say, all right, we just want to move. You know, it was related to a lease that we lost. Ultimately, we would like to have kept that location. You know, it's not something that we stepped up and said, hey, you know, let's move from here and go somewhere else. It was, we didn't have another option. And
That's
so
what,
therefore,
it seems like you don't want to be at Google because you go into a private development now in the meatpacking district. Google owns that building. They could give you free rent if they want. They got so much money. And it just seems that you don't want to be there.
I can tell you what
You mentioned we have to build up these 2 steps. So you can't build a ramp over those 2 steps for handicap access. Now you're telling me that you're going to relocate the cars on 14th Street to gain access for the truck, but you can't get parking on 15th Street for the truck. Something's wrong.
Okay, so let me address that. First and
Are
foremost,
you in Washington, D.C. too?
no, I'm not in Washington, D.C. I'm in New
Sounds
York.
like you are. He's in North Carolina, making decisions out of Washington for Manhattan, and everything is already, it's a done deal because you guys are paper pushers. You cross the T's, dot the I's, and pass it to the next person. Now you're dealing with the community that's totally against this, and where's the people from Google over here? Well, how come you didn't invite the people that you're saying you won't get a new lease from?
Well,
Did Google refuse the lease?
let me ask this question before you ask that question, because it's kind of related to it.
Okay.
In the last conversation, part of the problem was, now we're hearing about the lease. This process is about a choice, a decision to relocate or move a post office. That's what this process is about. This process isn't about a lease. But what the problem
It's to
was,
kill jobs, I think, you know?
but what the problem was, and correct me if
But
I'm
not
wrong,
this.
the Postal Service went to Google and they said they wanted the spot, but they wanted a smaller spot.
Not
So
their
Google's
job.
pushback was about giving you a smaller spot because they didn't want to know what to do with the rest of the space. So is it purely about the lease, or you just wanted a smaller spot with smaller square footage because that's what you thought that you needed?
Correct, that's what our planners had approved, to say this is how much square footage we need based on this proposal from Google to relocate within that building.
So the problem on 15th Street is the size that you would have to take and not the space that you would have to take, because you don't want to take that much space.
Well, I can't, sometimes you have to take more space than what the requirement is, because that's what the market has to offer. I don't have a whole lot of choices.
So what would be the difference in the square footage of where you're going as opposed to what you have at Google?
Well, I think we are determining what our decision making was. And I'm saying, as I'm standing here, I visited both sites. The decision wasn't based on space. Space never came into the equation.
It did in the last meeting. You wasn't here at the
Well,
last meeting.
well, for me as the person,
The last meeting,
right.
we were here, and you might be at a disadvantage. Part of the problem was, Google had no problem with you being in the space. It was, the Postal Service had a problem with how much space that they had to take. This is what we got from, I still got the notes from the last meeting. So if it was not a problem with the space, then when did that change? Because last time it was a problem with the amount of space that you had to take. Now you said there wasn't no problem with the amount of space you should have to take. So that means 15th Street should be just fine.
I'm only speaking on my personal experience while I went out there with the real estate team and we reviewed the site and we talked about the fact that the grade was wrong. We talked about the fact that there was parking on both sides of the street. We talked about the fact that we would not be able to legitimately say at 5:15 when we're trying to take mail out of that facility. I don't know what your experience is on 15th Street trying to get to the West Side Highway at that time, what the traffic is like. But it's a nightmare going down 15th because it goes all the way into the West Side Highway. It just wasn't logistically capable for that location.
The construction's not gonna be there forever. They're redoing the pipes. It's gonna take a year or two. They already did a year.
Right, but I can't go a year or two with a truck that can't park in front of a postal facility.
It's parking in front of 16th Street for the past 2 years, and the same pipes have been all the way to 20th Street.
And that intersection's a hell of a lot busier than 15th Street is, that 16th Street corner. That's a primary cross street and a turn for going eastbound. So talking about the truck not being able to park is kind of a no-starter. It's a no-starter. Who, was it Google that said they didn't want the post office in there anymore?
No, they offered us
They
space.
offered you the same space?
Did they offer you the space on 8th Avenue and 16th Street where Citibank used to be?
No, this was the spot that we looked at, and we could not make it a viable solution for it to work. And then, of course, under their time frame, they wanted us in November of last year, and our management said there's no way we can get that approved and done in that amount of time. So the proposal was almost automatically rejected because of the timeline was not realistic.
I'm sorry. At the last meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, Google had agreed to lease, but on the 8th Avenue side. And that was what the discussion was. Now, you're talking 15th Street. What was discussed at that meeting was that Google was willing to lease, but it would have to be on 8th Avenue. And someone said, well, why would it be more difficult on 8th Avenue when it's a one-way avenue, wider, as opposed to the 14th Street that you said would be where there's bus traffic? So I'm a little confused because you did mention 8th Avenue. Now you said something about 15th Street between, what was it? Right on 15th between 8th and 9th? Or 9th and 10th? Because 421 15th Street sounds like it's closer to 10th Avenue. Am I correct?
It's 14th Street.
Is it closer to 10th Avenue?
No, Washington and 9th Avenue.
Okay, so did you not discuss that that Google was willing to rent, but on the 8th Avenue as opposed to
The
the 9th
Citibank
Avenue?
location, yeah.
You did say that in the
What
last
about the
meeting.
train?
Correct, but then there was some other issues that still could not be resolved.
Well, what happened with the 8th Avenue?
Well, the 8th
It's a
Avenue.
perfect location. It was already an ATM. You don't have to build a ramp, just open the door and change the name on it.
I'm sorry, sir.
It's closed down.
And the 8th Avenue had
I
the
don't think
same
you guys
square
even looked at
footage
it.
You said,
And the truck is still, there's no parking on that over there. That whole corner is ripe for the postal truck.
and the square footage didn't change because when you were asked and posed that question, we asked what was the difference between the square footage at the current location as opposed to the location on the 8th Avenue. You said there was none. So what I don't understand, if the square footage was the same, where they're currently at, and 8th Avenue had the same square footage, how do we now get to 15th Street between Washington and 9th? I'm a little confused, because that's what you said in the last meeting.
Well, now, the square footage did go down a little bit. It wasn't it was a little bit of a smaller space, but that really was not the main issue in respect to the size of the space. If it's a good proposal, we can make it work if it's a little bit bigger than what the requirement is.
I did ask a question, though.
Correct. And,
You're making a statement,
Right.
but I asked a question.
right, and I was trying to address the square footage change and then also access.
What changed from the last meeting when you said the square footage was the same as opposed to 9th and 8th, that now you're saying that the square footage is less, that you decided to go to 15th Street between 9th and Washington?
Because there were multiple proposals, and each one of them had different square footage. And this was what Google had offered us. And both of them had access issues that we could not get the district to agree on, nor could we get our design people to agree on either. So there was a couple of different kind of,
Okay, I'm still a little confused, sir.
I'm not
The
saying what
reason you're
changed.
asking that for this place to be moved is because the lease is expiring and they want that location.
Correct.
They own the building. You in the meeting said that they were willing to move this location, which they wanted to obtain now, and give you a spot on 8th Avenue with the same square footage. Now, you're telling me that it's really a little less. Why would you not take if that is being proposed to you, why would the post office turn that down for the same amount of square footage, or even slightly smaller? Because you said the one on 15th Street, and maybe I didn't hear right, is gonna be slightly smaller too, correct?
no, it's going to be a little bit bigger.
Bigger than where they're leaving from?
Well, per the requirement, it's going to come in at 1,800 square feet.
So what is the square footage at this location?
I believe it's 2,100 currently.
And what is the square footage in the location they're in now?
Our current location is 2,100 square feet, yes.
How much?
2,100 square feet.
So, and the 15th is 2,100 and what?
No, it's 1,800 square feet.
So it's smaller.
Yes.
And the one on 15th Street and 8th Avenue that was being offered to us by Google is how many square footage?
I believe it was around 1,400 square feet.
That's not what you said at the meeting, sir. You said it was the same square footage. Was anyone in that last meeting to hear what he said?
Yeah.
You said that, sir.
Okay, well, I
So how do
apologize
you
if I
go
was,
from-
if I was incorrect. on
You
the
were
square footage.
incorrect, so you were making a proposal at the town hall meeting of what you wanted to do, and you told us all these things, and then you kind of got a little, couldn't answer a lot of the questions that were being thrown at you, but I know that you were on point with